Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. In this episode, we will continue with the review of Tensura Light Novel Volume 10. In the previous episode, we focused on Rimuru's further adjustments and upgrades to the underground labyrinth, as well as how the crisis caused by Green Rebellion, the professional labyrinth challengers, was resolved. As everyone has felt, the Green Rebellion had a very high organizational discipline and did a lot of homework targeting the labyrinth. In fact, this group did not break the labyrinth rules at all. This is very similar to the situation during the Monster Federation financial crisis. Everything was within the rules. Does this mean that the mastermind behind this Green Rebellion would be Mariabell Rosso again? In this episode, we will change our perspective to introduce Mariabell Rosso and her plans. Let's get started. Mariabell Rosso, like Rimuru, is a reincarnate, but unlike Rimuru, who was an ordinary office worker in his previous life, Mariabell retained memories of ruling over Europe in her past life. In her previous life, she manipulated finance at will, even using war as a pawn in her hand. Her wealth and glory were built upon the battlefield with gunfire, and the hell stained with blood, and indeed, the suffering of countless people. The law of the world is the law of the jungle, a belief she holds unswervingly. She had lived a life that she considered herself happy and successful. After reincarnating, she was born as a princess in the small kingdom of Siltrasso, becoming a member of the ruling Rosso family that governs the Western countries. The memory of being a financial genius in her past life, coupled with a strong desire for control, granted her a unique skill from the demonic skills of the Great Sin series, greed, making her the strongest in the Rosso family the moment she was born. Other demonic skills we familiar with so far are Beelzebub from Rimuru and Tempter from Diablo, so in this case, we know how strong the Mariabell is. The so-called greed is the ability to control others through their desires. Mariabell can see others' desires that everyone possesses. With a slight stimulation, she can control them, turning them into her puppets. In this way, Mariabell began to gradually control the people around her from the time she was a baby, learning and mastering the basic knowledge of this world. Thus, she concluded that she would still rule over the world as a ruler in this life. After all, in a world where economic civilization was still at a low level, it would be extremely easy to rule the world through economic victories with her experience from her previous life. As long as she gained a say when she grew up, the world would have inevitably fallen into her hands. With this mindset, Mariabell had been acting carefully and cautiously. Then, at the age of 3, she met her grandfather, Mariabell Rosso, the ruler of the Rosso family. Unlike others, Mariabell sensed something off about Mariabell Rosso. Although she believed she could control Mariabell with infiltration little by little, strong individuals like Mariabell wouldn't give her that opportunity. Under Mariabell's inquiry, she finally revealed her reincarnation, her skill, and her purpose of dominating the world. Unexpectedly, from then on, the grandfather and granddaughter trusted each other with their secrets. Mariabell explained the state of the world, and Mariabell shared her financial and political knowledge from her past life. In this way, the former hero and the greed formed an alliance aiming to rule the world. However, Rimuru's emergence and the rise of the Monster Federation undoubtedly disrupted Mariabell's plans. We can easily see from the book that Mariabell is extremely confident, a confidence stemming from her successful experiences in 2 lifetimes. She has every right to be confident. As we saw earlier, whether it was inciting merchants to create a financial crisis in the Monster Federation or using pay-to-win tactics to support the Green Rebellion in destroying the labyrinth, Mariabell's actions always stayed within the established rules. This is a manifestation of her confidence, and even arrogance. Defeating the opponent within their game rules is the true victory. In this respect, it is completely different from the rebellion style planned with her grandfather Mariabell involving the 7 luminaries. Of course, in fact, after 2 consecutive failures, Mariabell also realized that Rimuru was not an opponent to be easily defeated, so further plans were unfolded. Let's have a close look. After the Green Rebellion's plan to destroy Rimuru's labyrinth failed, a mysterious meeting began in the intelligence agency of the Kingdom of Siltrasso, the main base of the Rosso family, in a dark place unknown to Rimuru. The two facing each other were the young chief commander of the Free Guild, Yuki Kagurazaka, and one of the five elders, the actual leaders of the Western countries, John Rostia. As a huge financier of the Free Guild, John Rostia could be considered Yuki's top boss. It was with his assistance that Yuki managed to develop the Free Guild in just a few years. The person actually controlling the Green Rebellion and the organization to which they belong, the Apostles of Green, was John Rostia. We can easily guess that the backer behind John Rostia should be the primordial demon, Misery. This will be detailed in future analyses. Let's return to this meeting. John wanted to hear Yuki's report and analysis. Yuki displayed a humble attitude, unabashedly revealing that Rimuru had begun to suspect him and admitting that he could not possibly defeat Rimuru. Therefore, getting along amicably with Demon Lord Rimuru was the best strategy. However, at this moment, a young girl's voice drifted into the room, insisting that a monster like Rimuru would undoubtedly hinder their plan to control the world, and reconfirmed with Yuki if there was a plan to overcome Rimuru. Yes, this person was Mariabell Rosso, who entered as she spoke. Asked this question, Yuki shook his head in denial, indicating that defeating Rimuru was not easy, especially with the storm dragon guarding him, an evil dragon that once brought disaster to the world but was now tamed by Demon Lord Rimuru. Acting rashly would be very dangerous, objectively proving Rimuru's strength. However, as if absolutely believing in Yuki and unable to accept that he had an unbeatable opponent, John Rostia asked the same question again and again, asserting that Yuki should actually have a plan to defeat Rimuru. Upon being asked for the third time, Yuki's response underwent a change. He indicated that achieving victory would indeed be difficult, but if certain conditions were met, the probability of winning could substantially increase. In other words, if they were to deal with Demon Lord Rimuru alone, there would be a feasible solution. Following this, Yuki shared his future plans, which involved dispatching Kigali to explore the ruins alongside Rimuru. Mariabell watched Yuki intently as she fell deep into thought. A noteworthy point here is why Yuki only revealed his plan after being asked several times. It isn't hard to infer that, despite outwardly obeying the five elders and the Rosso family, Yuki harbored his own ulterior motives. As we mentioned earlier, Mariabell is characterized by immense self-confidence and arrogance, laying the groundwork for her future downfall. Of course, beyond Yuki's strategy, the overly self-confident Mariabell still harbored next steps in her planning. This time she devised a flawless strategy, stating she would utilize her control ability. Greed. As she spoke, Mariabell began to write a letter. This would be an invitation for Rimuru to attend the joint meeting of the Western Council of Nations. At that very moment, Rimuru was immersing himself in the successful labyrinth experience. Following the elimination of the Green Rebellion, the adventure-loving Rimuru, Ramiris, Veldora and Nalim were tirelessly practicing every day within their own avarders. They defeated one after another of the adventurers who entered the labyrinth, continuously enhancing their own strength and battle skills. As time went by, they became a word-of-mouth existence among the adventurers, being referred to by the fearful people as the death will of the labyrinth. Rimuru was unaware that a new challenge was quietly approaching. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like, comment, and share. In the next episode, we will discuss the joint meeting of the Western Council of Nations. See you in the next one.